Hello, welcome to the video on how to document your immunizations at a mass IMS clinic for the COVID-19 immunization work. Thank you one and all for joining us and helping us to immunize everybody in Manitoba. If you are a new user to PHIMS, you would have been sent a username and password via email. You will use this username and password to get into PHIMS. As well, you should be having an email account where you'll be able to find out what shifts are being assigned, from what I understand. Please verify this with your clinic lead. So the first time you come to a mass IMS clinic ready to immunize, you will be shown how to pull up the application on the screen. This is what the screen looks like before you log in. In real life, it'll look the same. It will say Public Health Information Management System, but it will also say instead of SIT2, it will also say production or prod. That will be the real environment. The environment I'm doing this recording in for demonstration is in a testing environment called SIT2. So the first thing you will do is click into username, and you will type your username as sent to you. You will then tab down and put in the temporary password. Then you will click on Log On. At that time, I do not have the screen because I'm not working with a temporary password. You will have a screen that will tell you to enter in your temporary password and then change it to another password that is for yours to keep. So a personal password, which you will select. You will type that in. You will then say go on. I forget what the actual button you click on is. But after that, you will be brought in a screen in Panorama, or PHIMS as we call it in Manitoba, to a screen that has the terms of use. This is the standard to which you are held for all work in PHIMS. You will read through this information, scrolling down to make sure you read through it all. Then you will click on Accept the Terms. If you do not accept these terms of use, you may not continue on in Panorama. Once you do that, you'll be brought into a log-on screen like you see in front of you right now. Your organization will be set to whatever they have put you in as when the one who hired you gave the region that you're supposed to be under. And the role, usually it will just be Manitoba Outbreak Immunizer. So this is what it would look like. If you have more than one role, because you're a lead at the clinic, you will have two choices. If you're just doing immunization, you will have the one choice of Manitoba Outbreak Immunizer. From the screen, you will continue on by clicking on the Continue button. Once you've done that, you will be brought to what they call the landing page. Here you will see the four tiles that you could choose from. But in this case, seeing as you're just doing immunizations, you will click on the top where it says Immunization. Clicking on Immunization, you'll be brought in to the immunization module. This is a Search Clients, which is the first screen by default that appears. You will always be working with mass immunization events. It could be hidden when you first log in like this, where you cannot see mass immunization events, but under the Immunization tab, pointing down, that means there's more information. Click on the down arrow and go down till you find mass immunization events and click on that. This will bring you into a mass immunizations event screens where you will see perhaps more than one mass IMS event. You will type in under Event ID, when you scroll up to the top, the number that is listed on the boards or on the tables around for the event that you are working at. In this case, it is 80. In real life, there are much larger numbers. Once you do that, you click on Search. You will come up with the one event that you are now working on. Should you not find this event, please clear out the organization default that you have showing up under the organization in the top here, and then search again. It could be that the login that you have is not what the actual mass IMS event is under. When you clear this out and just search by number, you will find the event that you are going to be working at. Once you've completed that, you will just click on the radio button beside the event and make sure that it is the correct one. This is January 12th, 2021 at the RBC, which is the Royal Bank Convention Center COVID IMMS Clinic from 9 to 14:50, January the 12th. My name is here in the list provided by. If your name does not show under provided by, please talk to your clinic lead to make sure that you're added to the event before you start. Once you've selected the mass immunizations event at which you are working, click on Worksheet. This will bring you a list of all those ones who have appointments at this particular mass immunization event. You will see at the top that it has displaying 459 out of 459 clients. That means at this particular event, there is 459 clients that have appointments between 9 a.m. and 14:50 at the RBC clinic. The next thing you're going to be doing, of course, is drawing up your vaccine and getting all ready for the clients. Once you have the first client come to your desk, you will, if they have a consent form, you will type in their name. If they don't have a consent form, you will still type in their name, their last name. So complete last name. So what we're going to be doing is just typing in to the first one that we have. So let's say this is the first client that shows up. Please type in their complete last name and assure that only one client is showing. This minimizes the chance of errors. If there was more than one with the same last name, you would just put a little comma and then the first letter of their first name in order to make sure that you only have one showing. You can pull up more than one at a time. However, this will increase the chances of an error. So we do recommend that you just pull up one client at a time. Okay, so once you have the client pulled up, the client is sitting beside you, your next thing you're going to be doing is you're going to, if you see this little alert button here, you're going to click into it. This means that somebody has put an alert on this client. So in this case, if there's an allergic to penicillin marked on this client by myself, and if this warning is there, you will verify with the consent form and with the client if this is correct. Once you've done that, you're going to just check with the client to make sure the date of birth is correct. So you have the correct client, so name, date of birth. The client ID is specific to PHIMS, so you don't have the PHIN number in front of you, just the name and the date of birth. So that's how you're going to verify with the client. You're also going to verify that COVID-19 Pfizer is what you've drawn up and the forecast status of the client. Not forecasted, if they say they've never had a dose before, means that they are not forecasted because we do not know whether the first dose will be Pfizer or Moderna or another vaccine. So there's no forecast for the first dose. The forecast for the second dose will depend on which dose they get first. Consent readiness, if it is the first time the client is being immunized through a mass IMMS clinic, will have missing. That means you have to add the consent. The event status will be blank. Once you have verified that, you will go over the consent form with the client, give the teaching that is needed, make sure it's an informed consent, do the actual immunization. Once that is done, you can have the client leave. If you have the consent form, if you don't have a consent form, you will write down on a paper given to you the client ID and the name of the client. So if you need to check something later on, you'll know which clients you have immunized yourself. Once the client has gone, you can click beside their name, and now you're going to record their consent. Click and record consent. By default, the pop-up will show grant. The effective from date will default to today's date. The effective to date, you will click into the little calendar beside, and you will add whatever end date that your clinic has decided upon or your region has decided upon. At the RB Center, they're doing it for 1 month, so 30 days, I believe. So you would click in this case because it doesn't show enough time onto February, and you could choose February the 12th if it was 1 month. And then you are going to choose the form of consent. It will be a written consent at RBC center, and I imagine at the other ones for the first time round, it will be written. If not, you can choose verbal. Just be aware that you will not have to grant consent again if they come during that 1 month period, as the consent will already be granted in the system. So you will not have a paper the second time round. You can choose other relation if it is not the client giving consent, and there is a choice of the legal decision maker or client. I can just show you that. So when you click into here, other relation, you have the choice of client, father, legal decision maker, or mother. You can, if the clinic decides to have you choose client, you can do that. Or if the clinic decides to just default, if there's nothing there, it means the client consented. That is a clinical decision, but those are the choices available in PHIMS. You will also select current user for consent given to, and it will populate with your name. After that is done, you will click on Save. This will then apply this consent to the actual client's file within PHIMS, then send a message back to the MassIMS clinic, and then after those little bit of time, it'll show up as granted. The next thing you need to do is to apply the immunization. It defaults to unclicking the client, so you have to click on it again for the record immunization. Click on record immunization. Here you will verify it is the correct agent, it is the correct lot number. If there's more than one lot number or more than one agent at your MassIMS event, you will have a drop down and be expected. You must choose the correct lot number and the correct agent. If you do not, it will be very painful to go back and correct it. So please take your time and make sure you're choosing the right one. You have the trade name, the route, the dosage is defaulted according to whichever agent and lot number that you choose, or I should say the agent itself is the dosage. And then what you do is choose the site. So let's say we gave it in the right deltoid or left deltoid, let's say. And then it has my name as the provider. That's all you have to do. The next time you immunize, it will default to left deltoid, but you can change it to right if you give it in the right. And please make sure you do that. In case of a reaction afterwards, they need to know where the immunization was given, obviously. For the APHIs, if they have to be done. Click on Save. You are asked here to confirm that it is actually what not forecast, that this is correct. Then you will have here the immunizations have been saved successfully to the selected client, and that the COVID-19 Pfizer has successfully decremented the inventory. So every time you give an immunization, there's an auto decrement in the actual electronic inventory so that they can keep a close watch on how much vaccine has been given. So that is done. So before you go on to call the next client, you will verify on the list here that it is the correct client. The forecast is now changed to up to date, and it will stay up to date until they are eligible for the next dose. The consent is granted and the client is immunized. Then you know you have done your work. Your job is done. So you can see it's a very fast and easy way to record a consent. Now you just have to clear out this name, and it will then display once again the full list of clients. Now, this client is now immunized at the clinic, and you are going on to see the next client. Now, the next thing you're going to be doing is you are going to be immunizing your next client. So let's say the next client comes up, they don't have a consent form. In that case, you'll be able to tell for this one, let's say if this was your client here, we'll choose someone who is, okay, just as an example, up to date. This person was immunized, is now up to date. This one is immunized, is up to date. So you have up to date, granted, immunized. This person hasn't been immunized yet, is eligible, which means it's been at least 19 days since his last dose. This one here is up to date and granted, but this is a red flag. This means that he shouldn't be getting done today because he's not eligible yet for the next dose. It's been less than 19 days. That's something to bring to your lead's attention. This person is due and is granted but not immunized yet. So this person here would be one that you would be not having a physical consent. So they would be coming to you without a physical consent. So let's pull this one up and be very careful that you take the time and that you spell the name right, or else you won't find the client. No matching value, look at that. I'm misspelling the client's name. So we're going to take A-D-K-I-N-S. Okay, so I've got just one client now. So if you're not finding your client, it could be you're misspelling the name. So verify with your client. If you can't find them with what you've got, first check your spelling. Okay, so now we just have the one client that is visible on our sheet here. So what we're going to be doing is choosing this particular client. So in this case, the person is due, so we know it's time to give the next dose. The consent is granted because the last time when they got the first dose, it was granted for the full month. Not immunized at this clinic. So all we have to do in that case is click on record immunization. Again, verifying lot numbers, agents, dose. It defaults to left deltoid because I gave the left deltoid. If I still give it in the left deltoid, I don't have to change anything. I just verify and click on save. You wait a moment because it has to put it on their actual file and then come back and put it on the MassIMS event. It says you were successful and you're done. So you can see it's very quick, very easy to do it through PHIMS, MassIMS events. Now, other things that you might have to do, if you had to put a warning on this client because he told you or on that he had an allergy, you would again choose the click little box beside their name. You would click on assess and immunize. You would then go into more on the top right-hand side and ask to put in a warning. Okay, so then you would click on add. You would type in this case, allergic to penicillin, he fainted, or whatever has to be put in. So whatever you have to put in as a warning, you click on apply, you click on save. It'll say that the warning was successfully updated. You click on return, and you return to the actual immunization history, and then you're going to click on return again. And you're back into the MassIMS event. And then it'll take a minute for it to again search for that client and bring up just that one client on the MassIMS event. Or maybe not. I'm wrong there. You have to actually research them. But if you back up one letter, it'll research them. And so once again, now you see there's a little triangle. You click into it, and what you've put in is now there. It says the date I put it in and my name. So that's to put in a warning. If for some reason you forgot to do something and you want to just check, oh geez, did I really, was this consent really recorded? You can click on the box beside the name. You can click on view consent. If it was a previous consent, it'll show, for instance, this one was granted on December 21st. So that's just looking, not changing. You can go directly into the IMMS profile. It says you're navigating to the IMMS profile page, so it's not part of the MassIMS event. You say OK. And then it'll bring you into the client's file, into the MassIMS event. This is not where you would record, because otherwise it's not stamped on the MassIMS event. So you wouldn't record through here. The only time you'd go here, if you want to click into the one that you just given. So mine was on January the 12th. You can click update in this place, and you could change certain things in this. So let's say, oops, I put it in the, I said I put it in the left, I put it in the right. You can change that. That is a changeable field. You could also change the lot number if you put in the wrong lot number. If there is more than one lot number in the event, you would have the choice of changing the lot number. And each time if you do a change here, you must add a comment. So let's say, for instance, it was really the right deltoid. You change it to the right, then you'd have to click add, and then you could say corrected site. Then you have to click on apply. Apply again. And you can see here it's not saved yet. It's got that little pencil beside it. Then you click on save at the top. Then when you do those three things, you'll get a notice that says immunization profile was successfully updated. Same steps you'd go through if you chose the wrong lot number. Better to not choose the wrong lot number. Click on return. Always verify your stuff when you first put it in, and then you're better off to do it that way. So once again, you'd have to back up the name to find it again in the big list. And it'll take a minute and then it'll come up. And so then you can double check. Yep, correct person. It's now not forecasted because the second dose has been given. So there's no more forecast because the series is complete. The consent was granted and the client was immunized. If you ever had to put a note on the client, it's pretty much the same steps, except in this case, you go right out of the mass IMS event and must come back in. Again, assess and immunize. More from the top. And in this case, you go into clinical notes. You'd say, I want to author a note. You'd put in the subject line, the reason you're documenting. You'd put in the details in the box here. If you were going to be called away, you could save it as a draft. If you're done, you click Note Complete. It will say the note was successfully saved. If it doesn't say that and add this little triangle with notes, then you forgot you did something wrong. Make sure that you get that message and then you won't lose anything. Once you've completed that, if you do a note, you've actually gone out of the mass IMS event. You must go to the recent work and you find your mass IMS event you're working on and click directly into the worksheet. When you click directly into the worksheet, you will then be brought right back into the mass IMS event where you can continue your work. Please note that in the recent work, you will only see the mass IMS event and you will see if there's any clients that you went directly into their files. So the recent work will not show the name of a client unless you've actually gone into the file. So if you think, oh, did I really, put the immunization on that client? Don't panic if you don't see his name or her name in recent work. If you didn't go out of the mass IMS event, if you were each time clicking on return to return back, you will not see their name in there. That does not mean you didn't immunize them. You would have to search them here to verify on the line whether you actually had put in the immunization. So you had granted and immunized and everything is good. So that's basically it. And good luck and thank you very much for all your immunizations. We'll get everybody done soon so we can get back to having a regular life again.